Hello, this is Allie with Perception Trainers, author of the Perception Diet, and today I bring you part 2.5 of the How to Love Your Body series. So in the last video we talked about food, and essentially the tool that I gave you was to give yourself the opportunity to stop labeling food as being good or bad and just look at it as food. Right? So understanding that when we label food as good and bad and we eat that food, we are actually looking to find our virtue and our goodness and our value in our food, and then same thing in our bodies. When we label our bodies good and bad, we are looking to find our virtue in our bodies, and this is something that can be very harmful and very negative for our experience here on the planet, because food and our bodies and stuff like that always fluctuate, always changes, and we weren't meant to find our goodness and our value and our virtue outside of ourselves. Okay, so this is a practice in realizing that when you're looking to find your goodness in something that you do outside of you, right, it creates that resistance and that polarity that causes the swinging back and forth between, you know, doing what you think you should be doing and not doing what you think you should be doing, and da 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 da. Okay, so now I knew I was going to get this question, so I wanted to make a whole other video on it instead of trying to cram it into that other video. It's basically, okay, so like, what about veganism? What about like making choices in your diet based on your health? Like, am I saying, like you were asking me, am I saying that to label food, to not have any labels on food, good or bad, that just means I should just eat everything? Okay, so here's what I want to say about that. Is like, no, of course not. You can still be vegan. You can still make ethical choices. You can still absolutely have parameters to your eating, like I do, right? So here's the thing. So I'm not saying that when you stop labeling food as being good or being bad, that just means everything that you know about the food industry and everything that you know about health and everything that you know about everything just goes out the window, okay? What I'm saying is this. When you don't label food as good and bad, okay, you're removing that from the picture. And you're saying, okay, if I'm not going to make my food choices based on my virtue, or their virtue, or the virtue that it gives me, or the value that it gives me, or I'm not going to allow my food choices to affect my self-esteem. I'm not going to allow my body being good or bad to affect my self-esteem. You make your food choices from a completely different place. Okay, so this is the shift that I hope that you can feel just as we talk about this, okay? So when you stop saying, I don't eat meat because meat is bad, or the meat industry is bad for the planet, or the meat industry is bad for animals, but instead you say, I choose not to eat meat because what I know about the meat and dairy industry is that because of what I know about the meat and dairy industry, it does not align with my value system. I choose not to eat those foods because they do not align with my value system, okay? I choose not to eat those foods because they do not make me feel good, feel the way that I want to feel, so they do not make me feel the way that I want to feel inside of my body, right? So when we look at food, and again, it's saying, okay, so meat is not bad, all right? Because that word bad can be triggering for people who have tied their self-worth and their self-meaning into food, right? So this is a subtle mindset shift that will hopefully actually give you freedom to feel like you can make any kind of choice, and you will actually feel more comfortable in the choices that you make, okay? So when we say, okay, if food is not good or bad, how am I going to make my food choices, right? And we back up and we say, okay, if I already were to believe that I'm valuable, I already am going to believe that my value and my worth cannot be changed, right? And even if you don't believe that right now or feel that necessarily right now, you just try that on, right? My value cannot be changed. My value has nothing to do with my food choices. I can make terrible food choices, right? And still be a good person, right? So that's fundamentally it. If I were to believe that I am valuable, that I am worthy, that I am good, that I'm allowed to feel how I want to feel about myself all the time. Now, from that feeling place, from this feeling place of I am already good enough, what choices am I going to make with my food? Okay, so I want to tell you that from my own experience, okay? I have been vegan. Okay, and again, I'm not saying that like vegan is the right thing. I'm not telling you that you have to be vegan if you listen to my channel. I'm not anything like that, okay? This is a personal choice that I'm making, okay? And I made this choice a long time ago when I was 17. I went vegan. And for a long time, I had the mindset, and then, you know, I got into eating raw foods. And like I say, for the long time, especially during my eating disorder, I had the mindset that like animal foods are bad, cooked foods are bad, right? These foods are bad. These foods are bad for my body, they're bad for the environment, they're bad, bad, bad. And these raw foods, these raw fruits and vegetables are good, right? And then it got even more complicated, right? More and more rules, more and more rules, more and more rules, and then all of a sudden it was like I had to be eating this very, 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 very specific diet in order to feel good about myself, and I had to have a very, very, very specific body, shape, weight, height, blah, 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 in order to feel good about myself. And if anything shifted outside of those parameters, I couldn't feel good about myself, okay? So this is what I'm saying, that's the dangerous territory. Okay? When we get to this place where I cannot feel good about myself, I cannot love myself, I cannot value myself, I cannot cherish myself so long as I am not following these exact precise rules, that is when we get into dangerous territory. And then again, so like for instance with like the 80-10-10 diet, I tried that out, and then so anytime I eat, you know, 11% fat, I'm bad. I've done something wrong. This is bad for my health. This is bad for the environment. This is bad for blah, blah, blah. Okay? And it created this like craziness, right? Where I'm constantly calculating, I'm constantly trying to figure out what I need to be doing, I'm constantly second guessing myself, I'm constantly freaking out that I'm not going to be able to eat the right thing, right? And again, it was the mindset of food being good or bad that was totally messing me up, all right? So when I came to this place where I said, okay, if I were to already believe that I was valuable, and I'm lovable, and I'm worthy, and nothing outside of myself can change that, how do I want to eat from this place, okay? So what I want to say is before this, when I was in this good and bad dichotomy, right? That is when eating a healthy diet was really hard for me, right? It was like a complete struggle to not eat cooked foods. It was a complete struggle to, you know, stay on the straight and narrow path that I designed for myself. And it was really hard to stay like a strict 80-10-10 or eating exactly what I was supposed to be eating on this diet, right? And this way of thinking was actually divorcing me from myself. It was divorcing me from what my body was actually telling me to do. It was divorcing me from my own wisdom, and it was actually, like I said, creating that polarity that made it so that, you know, so hard as I tried to be a raw foodist, and the tighter grip I got on myself, the more I wanted to eat cooked foods, the more I wanted to put cooked food in my face, the more I couldn't not eat cooked food. And again, I am not saying that cooked food is bad, because I don't think that it is. I definitely don't think cooked food is poison. I think cooked food, most people on the planet, and lots of really, really, really healthy people eat a mostly cooked food diet. So again, I am not saying that for everybody cooked food is bad, because it isn't, right? And science tells us this. It just isn't. If cooked food was really bad, we'd all be dead, right? Okay, so anyways. But all I'm saying is, the more I restricted myself and the more I gave myself the rule of this is good and this is bad, the harder I struggled, okay? The second I took that label off, and I said, okay, nope, I'm already valuable, I'm already worthy, what do I want to eat? Then all of a sudden, eating a raw foods diet was no problem, okay? So I want you to notice that shift. I want you to notice that subtle shift, that when it goes from this is good and this is bad, and if I do this, I'm bad, and if I do this, I'm good, right? And it's a huge disaster if I fall off the path. 2, I'm going to eat what feels good for me to eat. If my value is not at stake here, what do I want to eat? What do I want to put inside my body? If I am pretending that I love my body, that I think my body is awesome just as it is, I don't need to change it, what am I going to eat? And from this place, it's magic. And I just want to say, it might sound a little bit too good to be true, and this is why I want you to give it a try, okay? Because literally, for myself, when I stopped dieting, when I stopped believing there was a good and a bad and a right and a wrong and blah, 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 and I just started saying, okay, what aligns with my values? What aligns with making me feel energetic? What aligns with my taste buds? What do I actually enjoy eating? What tastes good to me? What do I like? What feels natural inside my body, even though maybe some diet experts tell me these things are bad for me? What actually feels good inside my body, right? What actually feels nourishing for me? what aligns with my values. Then I came across the way of eating that works for me, and it was no longer dependent on my body looking a certain way for me to continue to eat how I wanted to eat. Because here's the thing, when we're saying this diet is good, and this weight is good, and this body is good, and everything outside of that is bad, you may even be like eating the diet that is correct for you, but you're going to constantly struggle to stay on that diet because you're waiting for the outside to tell you that you're good now, and therefore to stay on this diet, right? So again, it just gets very complicated and very clouded when we make things good and bad, all right? So when we remove that label, it doesn't mean free for all. It doesn't mean now I can't be a vegan because I can't say that animal foods are bad. All that the shift that you make is, okay, if I am already worthy, I'm already valuable, I'm already exactly who I need to be, there's nothing wrong with me, and I don't need to prove anything, and I don't need to become something that I'm not. If I already think I'm awesome, I already love myself, what aligns with my values? What do I want to eat from this place? Okay? And I hope that you can just sense the energetic shift there, right? You still make choices. It doesn't necessarily mean a free-for-all. And for some people, you might need a free-for-all. Okay? You might need to let yourself eat things that you've been telling yourself for years are bad and wrong and dangerous, just to show yourself that it's just food. That it's just food. It doesn't have power over you. It doesn't control your life. It doesn't have to control your life. It doesn't have to have power over you. And if you're feeling really like I say, like stuck in that diet merry-go-round where you're just like wanting so hard to be healthy but you can't do it because you're trying so hard and you're just swinging back and forth, blah, blah, you might need to give yourself a period of time where you just say, okay, I'm going to continue to tell myself that I'm worthy and to tell myself that I'm valuable and to eat these foods that I'm afraid of because I've been telling myself for years that they're bad. And I'm going to eat them and I'm going to tell myself, you ate this, you're still good. There's nothing wrong with you. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just food. Then you will find your middle ground. Then you will find the thing that's actually in alignment for you. And like I say, this might sound too good to be true, and I understand that, and that's why I say just give it a try, okay? You're allowed to eat in alignment with your values. You're allowed to have parameters. You're allowed to say, these foods just don't jive with my body. I don't like eating donuts, right? Like it's just, I've given myself permission to eat as many donuts as I want because they're not bad. They're just a food. And really, I just don't prefer them. I would prefer to eat bananas. And that's it. There's no charge. There's no emotional charge. And then, like I say, because there's no emotional charge, you won't struggle to fight against the donut because it's bad. You'll just say, okay, I just don't want to eat the donut. You see? That's how we get to a place where we're way more comfortable with food. You have to let go of this idea that punishing ourselves and telling yourself that this is bad and this is good is going to keep you in line, because it won't, okay? If you allow yourself freedom and if you allow yourself to trust yourself, and basically that's what you're doing. When you take off these labels of good and bad, you're essentially saying, I trust myself to make a choice that's in alignment with my highest interest, that's in alignment with my highest health, that's in alignment with everything that's good on the planet, then you will line up with that. You will act in accordance with that belief in yourself, right? Because these rules of good and bad are essentially you energetically saying to yourself that I don't trust you. I have to make these rules, I have to make these guidelines, I have to make these parameters because you cannot be trusted, because I cannot be trusted, right? I cannot be trusted to make a healthy choice for myself. And that's not true. So when you take off these limits, you will notice that you can trust yourself. You will naturally start to move towards the foods that actually serve your body best and the foods that serve the planet best, and whatever that looks like for you. And so that's again why I don't stand up here and preach a certain diet, because I truly believe that you know what's right for you, that you have the power to figure that out, that you have everything inside of you that you need to eat a diet that is really great for you and that is really great for the planet. I truly believe that about you. All you need to do is to trust yourself, right? To remind yourself that you're worthy, that you're valuable, that you're trustable, that you're, that you can trust you, that you're awesome, that you will make a good choice when you are left to your own devices, that you don't need these rules to keep you in place, right? So again, rather than saying food is good and bad, you say food is food. What aligns with my values? What aligns with how I want to feel? What aligns with how you know, with trusting myself. If I were truly to believe that I was completely trustworthy and I knew exactly what I was doing, what do I want to eat, right? And you just start to follow that, and yeah, it might take you down a path of eating a whole bunch of donuts because you've been telling yourself you can't have donuts for a long time, right? And you'll do that for a little while, and then eventually you'll just say, okay, if donuts are not good or bad, I just don't really crave a donut right now. I actually want a banana, right? And this is what I'm saying. You will start to be able to follow your body's wisdom so much easier. And again, with not eating animal products, you just say it just doesn't align with my values, right? What I know about the meat and dairy industry, it does not align with my value system. I choose not to put those foods in my body. I choose not to put my money in that. But it's not because I am a bad person if I do. You see what I'm saying? It's that I can trust myself. I am a good person. I've always been a good person. What I eat does not determine whether I'm good or bad. And so what kind of choice am I going to make from there? You see what I'm saying? So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I always love to hear from you. And again, if you're interested in the Perception Diet telecourse, send me an email to theperceptiontrainers@gmail.com and I'll send you more information on that. And follow me on Facebook at Perception Trainers, on Instagram, Allie_PerceptionTrainers, website perceptiontrainers.com, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.